In Titus 2, older women are commanded to teach what is good so they can help younger women love their husbands and children. On today's show, you'll hear from older women who will share timeless, relevant biblical wisdom and personal, profound life experiences to help answer your questions and teach what God says is good so you can be the wife and mother you were created to be. Welcome to another episode of Older Women Likewise.
Good evening. We are so glad to have our viewers back with us again one more time. This is our last program on our trip to Israel. And tonight, Ashley is going to be the star. You all have gotten to know Ashley. No pressure, Ashley. You all have gotten to know Ashley over these several videos of our trip, and you can see what a delight she was. Just watching her and Cindy was just beautiful to me. A mother-daughter who enjoyed being together so much. What a blessing you are to each other. And you have been to our viewers, Ashley, and we appreciate so much your working with us on this project. And I just want to say it's such a joy to get to know you in this way, even though, I haven't been with you in person very much. But what a joy. And don't you agree, Cindy? Isn't she just?
Oh, yeah. I know how to pick a travel partner, and God knows who to make my baby. So, yes, she always makes everything much more special for me. And so I was glad we were able to make these memories together. And hopefully, it won't be the last special trip. And also very much thankful for all that she read. She spent almost a year reading books that were this thick. And so in addition to what Luke brought into this, she had also very much educated herself. And so she was able to explain to me what was going on, like so that was very handy. Very, very handy.
Well, go ahead, Ashley.
I had a blast. It was the trip of a lifetime. If I could go anywhere in the world, this is where I wanted to go. And I got to go for my 40th. And so it was like my 40th year. I was leaving the bondage of America and going into the promised land. It was full circle. It was the best. I loved it.
That's wonderful. Well, this last day number 9 of our touring, June the 15th, we were at Megiddo and then in Caesarea, several places that we were there. So this is looking out into the Jezreel Valley, where you can look through the corners there, the little mountains there, and here at Megiddo. Ashley, can you tell us something about what we're seeing? I don't. Wallace took this picture, so.
Yeah, in the book of Revelation, there's a battle that's talked about, the Battle of Armageddon, where at the end of the world, people are going to fight the last battle on this field. And so there's a lot of lore about this, since it is in the book of Revelation, and we can't really interpret that literally. And so it was really interesting to see all of the ruins here. I think Canaanites used to live here.
One of the things I found as I was doing some research for tonight's program was that every empire that invaded Canaan, somewhere along the line, had to fight a battle near Megiddo. And I thought that was an interesting research comment, I guess you would say, is that it had known many battles in this area. And you just wonder, just through the centuries, how much had happened nearby. Here.
Enough had happened. I know that there were 34 wars, Luke said, that had been fought. in this area. And I could not believe, I kept saying to Ashley, I cannot believe we're here right now. We're in like Armageddon. We're standing on Armageddon. There was a gift shop there, and Luke Chandler's daughter got an Armageddon baseball cap. I'm like, there's my regret. I needed an Armageddon baseball.
Yes.
I needed them. And it just was unbelievable to be standing where all that history had taken place. And toward the end, and I hope I'm not going too far ahead here, but towards the end, we're waiting for our bus to come back and pick us up. We have done our tour of Armageddon, and you'll see some pictures. And we're waiting and waiting, and I just see all this. There's kind of like a mud, just a wall of just raw mud. And I walk over there, and I start pulling teeth out of the side of the mud. I don't know if I'm pulling human teeth or animal teeth, and it was more than one. In addition to the pottery, you know, that's how much history had gone on this mountain. There's so many teeth that they're not even digging for it. It's just there, and it's this huge, massive hill.
Wow.
Yeah, my favorite thing about Megiddo was Mom's reaction to it. It was like she was at a Red Sox game or something. She was so excited. And I hadn't done a lot of research about Megiddo because I associated it most with like the book of Revelation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Mom was there for it.
That's
I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
Well, there was
amazing.
Yeah. There was a PowerPoint that we saw, not a PowerPoint, but we went into a place where we could see, all of this, and they were showing about reconstruction of the Northern Palace here. I think this was at the same place, so I didn't begin to remember stuff till later this day from being sick, of course. So, is this a recreation of Megiddo here?
Yeah, this is a model of the city, and they had kind of a light show that would go over it and illuminate the different parts as they were built and through the different years where they were built, and then show the different destructions and fires. And it's a very high place that overlooks a lot of territory, super desirable for the strongest to have their fort there. So yeah, a lot of wars, a lot of battles.
Mm-hmm. Some more of these high places up on, once you got way up there.
That was a gate, a special gate. Ashley, do you remember what gate that was?
I think that was built during the time of Solomon.
Yes.
I think Solomon did a lot of rebuilding of Hazor and Megiddo and other places for administrative purposes, like government centers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was a Solomon era gate that you're standing by.
Yes, I think so.
That's my husband, my photographer. So there he was, pictures out across the valley there.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jezreel Valley, out across the valley there. So, even when you look out and you see modern things out there, you still can imagine what it would have looked like without them. To think of how it would have looked back in the day, that, as we say. Here in Megiddo, you were talking about Solomon had built, and these are ruins from the remains of stables that he made here.
And archaeological evidence of him not obeying God's law with all his heart, soul, mind, and strength, which we knew happened.
Yeah. God told him not to increase his horses. The king should not try to have lots and lots and lots of horses, and yet he did.
Yeah.
We saw, I thought it was interesting the way they did this, but they had these sculptures, I guess you would call them, of horses.
Mhm.
So you could understand this architecture, why it looked like it does, what this would be for. It just,
Mhm.
instead of having to print stuff in writing, they put the picture. And so we could tell right away what was meant here.
Yeah, I like that they did that too.
Yeah.
It kind of put it in reference of like how it would be used.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And here we are up on top, and Luke talking to us about the different things here. And this one, now this one's great. Y'all, you gotta love this picture. Y'all were so, they had
We're
these,
all business. We're
yeah,
all business there. Yeah.
all the time. But these sculptures and a chariot and the horses, and I mean, and it was, I think they expected, even invited visitors.
Yes, I hope so.
Oh yeah. That sculpture was definitely a photo op. If you're listening, there's a metal sculpture of 2 horses carrying a chariot that you can climb into, and Mom is pointing forward like Pharaoh, and I'm raised my hand with a pretend whip like his horse driver, and we're about to slay a bunch of Israelites.
Yeah, I'm telling you, y'all look good.
We know how to milk it for all it's worth.
That's
sure.
right. It's wonderful. I mean, that a framed picture for sure.
I have to confess, though, I feel a little guilt at this point because she and I are playing, like we're just playing, and then we hear, and you can see it way off in the distance, if I'm not mistaken. That is everybody gathering to sing happy birthday to Luke Chandler. We owe him this birthday song, and we are hundreds of feet away, not where we're supposed to be, and tardy for the happy birthday celebration. But yeah, this was a fun memory.
Let's see, another ruin, an altar that was pre-Abraham. Well, this another one of Wallace's pictures. So
yeah, that's Canaanite. So they would have sacrificed probably children on that. Canaanites did a lot of wicked stuff. I thought it was interesting that they had such huge circular altars, and the altars that Israelites had were square. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, quite a difference. Jeroboam's grain silo. Here's the bottom of it. You can see where they would have put their grain in to keep it. And here again, this is the horse at the trough, and all these stables. And they had troughs. They would have been built up, obviously, and it's just the only part that's left. Looking out over the valley, it's just it just amazes me. The agriculture, the openness of it, and yet, I mean, God had so many things happened that God made happen. I mean, he kept it. And I remember you saying in one of our earlier programs, it was in the out there, in public. It was not.
Yes.
It wasn't hidden. The things that God did.
Obvious. Yeah. One of those moments happened at Mount Carmel. I had kind of an epiphany at Mount Carmel, similar to Shiloh, where I realized, wow, Shiloh's literally in the middle of the highway that goes north, south, and east. That's incredible. And you could smell it for miles. And the valley that Israel would have crossed into the promised land could be seen from Moab to Jericho to Qumran. Like this is out in the middle of nowhere. So God had events take place where it was so public, such a stage. And I just thought it was beautiful how the canvas is so similar to how it was back then. I had told Mom before we went, I said, I'm excited to go see the stage on which God had this Bible story happen. And it's the same stage, and that's just beautiful.
And these pictures may be out of context. I mean, I just know they're pictures from here. this looks like tombs, wasn't it? Is that what you recall from this?
Yeah, I think we drove by some first century Roman era tombs that would have been the same style with the rock rolled in front of them.
And one of the things also here at Megiddo, there was a tunnel that went underground, and some of you, obviously not Wallace and me, we didn't go down this, a water system going down into the ground. And y'all walked down into the system. It says through a 30-yard tunnel and ended up at an underground spring where we climbed the stairs to go out. And the rest of us just walked over there. We didn't do all of that part, the climbing. But that must have been interesting. Here's the tunnel. And then here you are climbing back up again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure which was the thing that really put us off of it, the tunnel or the climbing up. And
I'm pretty sure when I got home, I had lost 10 pounds. From all of the up and down. I mean, Jerusalem is a city on a hill for sure. It reminded me a little bit of San Francisco, the up and down and up and down. Very, very hilly.
Yes. The next stop was at Mount Carmel, I think, but for some reason, I don't have pictures of that unless we look back, I guess, at a view like this.
Yeah, very similar to that.
Mount Carmel, go ahead.
Mount Carmel is where Elijah had the contest with the Baal prophets and said, let's prove whose God's real, and let's cover our altars with 7 jugs of water and pray and taunted the Baal prophets with probably every kid's favorite Bible class story. You know, maybe he's using the restroom. You know, that's when 8th grade humor comes into the Bible.
Where's your false prophet?
Yeah, where is he? And then God brings fire down and it consumes the sacrifice, the altar, and all the stones. And so from the top of Mount Carmel, I didn't realize that you can see the Mediterranean Sea shoreline from the top of it. And it blew my mind because I was like, so you're telling me everyone who's out on the ocean could have looked out toward Israel and seen fire coming down from heaven onto a mountain and realized something significant and supernatural is happening over there. And if they were seeking truth or more information about the supernatural, which is God, it pointed them right to the source. And it's just unbelievable to me that you could see that. I mean, I know a mountain is a mountain. You know, mountains look over everything, but that you could see it all the way out to the Mediterranean Sea. As I grew up in Oregon, so like Mount Hood is a referential mountain for me. And the idea of being able to see the Pacific Ocean from that, it just kind of shrank the geography, where I realized this is all so obvious. If your eyes are open, you're going to see this for 1,000 miles. It's unbelievable.
Oh, and it's going to be the talk of the town forever, right? What just happened? There? What did you see? And what just happened? We think of the New Testament as being more of, I guess I'll say, evangelistic, an evangelistic era. But you know, God is making His name known to all of these different nations and peoples that are, you know, happen to be crossing paths with the nation of Israel. And so, and there would be people, we read about people in the Old Testament who came to the true God. You know, we think about Ruth, or we think about Rahab and others that, like, we know your God is the God. We have heard about your God. So, yes, and then the same God is the God of the New Testament who sends His Son. So, yes, amazing to be on Mount Carmel. God always wins. God always wins. Be on God's side, you know, even when you're in the minority, because that is just for now. And God in the end wins.
Absolutely.
One of the funny things I saw on Mount Carmel, they had a sign that said no smoking. And I thought that was kind of funny. And then they had a sign that said no bonfires. And I said that's really, really funny. A lot of our group had a good laugh about that. No fires out in the open in Mount Carmel. They're done with that. That's
right. We've done that.
We've done that. We've got the point. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember when we got back on the bus right after this? Do you remember Dr. Weaver had us all sing, like, These Are the Days of Elijah, I think was the song that we all sang together. I loved that. I love that idea of it almost felt like a victory song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, with my brothers and sisters in Christ. And so loved it.
Mm-hmm. Let me get us back to the right spot. So the next stop was Caesarea.
Now there's two Caesareas that we went to. One of them is Caesarea Philippi, and that's the place where Jesus was walking with his apostles and asked, who do people say that I am? And then one of them is Caesarea Maritima, which is on the ocean. Just in case you're wondering, didn't we go to Caesarea yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
We went to Caesarea Philippi yesterday. Today we're going to Caesarea Maritima. This is a plaque that's at Mount Carmel. This is a sculpture of the Baal worshipers asking their God to rain down fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then Elijah, you can see with the light coming out of his head. And I really loved all of the biblical art there. That was really neat.
Yeah. And this, I guess,
this is Mount Carmel.
Oh, okay. So I got them all out of order. I'm telling you.
That's okay. I know where we are, Isla. We're at Mount Carmel.
Yay! We got Ashley, so we're good. Like I said,
it's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
And the aqueduct was really interesting. I've seen pictures of them. I'd never obviously seen one up close like this. I mean, I've driven by them where they've got them for the rails, for the trains and all, but to see one up close was amazing. It was huge. The thing's gigantic.
Yeah, this was built by Herod the Great, the same Herod who put in all the infrastructure just in time for Jesus. God used him and his talent, his resources, and the skilled people to prepare the way, as it were, even though I don't think he realized that's what he was doing. So,
absolutely.
It's amazing how people can prepare.
Yeah. One picture of us. I finally felt good again.
Yay!
And so I was happy again. So, but yeah, Herod built and built and built. I mean, it's just amazing how much he built. I mean, he just, went on after all. I remember Luke sent us and I guess he posted on the Facebook group how part of this aqueduct had collapsed, hadn't it? After we had been there.
I think it's the one, you can't see it in this photo. There's an opening in the foreground of this photo. The opening that would be to the left of that is the one that collapsed. Just a couple of weeks after we went there. So that was we were one of the last groups to ever see that section of the aqueduct.
That's right. I love this picture too. That's that spirit, so. But this one is much more traditional here. So. We enjoyed this, and we just kind of hung around. And that's the Mediterranean behind us, isn't it?
Can you believe the color of the ocean, you guys? Look at the color of the sea there. It was so gorgeous. Mm-hmm. If anyone's looking for a beautiful biblical place to go have a honeymoon, I would highly recommend. It's just such a romantic city. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah. It's very, very romantic. It's like you're in a movie.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, from here, I've got us, the next pictures I have are of the theater, the Roman theater that we visited as well, and sculptures. This is a shepherd with the sheep over him, right? Am I remembering it right? And the foot.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. Was this just just a foot, or was it part of something bigger, do you think, or do you remember?
I don't know. There's regarding the shepherd boy in the previous one, it reminded me of, as a Christian, you need to be careful. Just like if you're going through science and you need to have your evolution glasses on, as it were. When it comes to antiquities like this, our guide was telling us, so this is actually a sculpture of Jesus, the Good Shepherd. And so that's why it's here. But there's no evidence showing that this is actually a sculpture of Jesus and that it no longer has a face because of the Roman Empire and stuff like that. So even at the Israel Museum, there was like a piece of rock that had been carved into the shape of a rainbow or a bow or a semicircle. And they said it's a rainbow. And that's a beautiful story. But there is sometimes the descriptions that people give of what something like this represents can't be proven. So just be careful as a Christian when you're seeing stuff like this to look at it just for what it is without any assumptions.
Yeah, not to make too much of it.
Because we don't need to. There's enough concrete evidence for Christianity and beautiful symbolism that Jesus himself pointed out and all of that, we don't need to go there. And and we should be critical thinkers on every level, at all times, for sure.
Absolutely.
Another random thing I find really interesting is that you can tell where a sculpture is from or where the artist is from based on the toes. This is a Roman foot because the big toe and the two other toes are all the same length. Greek feet have the second toe that's longer. So when you're looking at sculptures, you can usually figure out if the artist was Greek or if it was from Greece because of the feet.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Interesting.
Amazing. Then we went into the theater. And this was, you can tell, I mean, it was a Roman theater, an old one, but they have adapted it. In fact, they were getting ready, weren't they, for some kind of concert or something later. You can see the chairs and all down below.
That needs to be added to Luke Chandler's tour experience. I think going to a concert in a Roman Colosseum needs to be part of, I vote for that.
Yeah. I was thinking, we're going to go to a concert, but then
if anything, and if you have to take Elvis out earlier in the week in order to make room for the Roman,
to do that one
concert.
Well, from there, but we didn't actually get to see a concert, but from there we walked on out toward the water. Toward the harbor, and we have several pictures from there.
Herod had a huge palace out there, and so if you go to the next slide, there was one that had ruins on it. He actually had a swimming pool that's now partially out into the ocean. Huge mansion with rooms galore. There was a prison there. It's likely that Paul was held in that prison. And it was amazing. It's definitely an example of the foolish man builds his house upon the sand. Because this city was built up and then, destroyed and built. And then after the Roman Empire lost a lot of its power, you can't salvage it. It really doesn't make sense from an engineering perspective.
Right.
He built it as a harbor for people to come in to increase trade, and he named it after Caesar.
Because there was no harbor there. It was just rocky, but he built it all out so that they could come.
And that's a bold move to build a harbor. That's
a big deal. That's Herod the builder, though.
That's Herod. Herod's going to build his own harbor.
Let's see. Then here's some more pictures. And does this get into the hippodrome? Is it this?
Yeah, that's where they would do more entertainment. So Caesarea Maritima was huge entertainment, games. And so they would do chariot races here. And this is where a lot of the Jews fled when Rome went against Jerusalem in 70 AD. Jews started fleeing here. Christians fled here. And so Rome did not like Jews or Christians, but they loved their entertainment. And we have a lot of examples of persecution of Jews and Christians in the first century. So it's likely, but not proven, that Christians could have been persecuted in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all walked along. I still was not real well and didn't feel like walking, but y'all walked along through here. And one of the pictures that I have is of
the toilets.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Because sometimes before entering a battle against lions or tigers or in a chariot, you just got to go.
Yeah.
That's right. And here we are. This is a young couple that was with us on the trip. And here was some more sculpture that
Of the chariot.
Thinking maybe y'all had done this, but I guess you'd already done your chariot experience.
Yeah, we were at Megiddo. We were ready to fight at Megiddo.
Yeah, we were ready out there. So
I believe also isn't this the city of Caesarea where in Acts 10 Cornelius is the first Gentile is baptized into Christ?
Yep.
And so Philip the evangelist settled here. I remember Luke saying with his family, Acts chapter 8. So, and also that Paul sailed in and out of Caesarea during his journeys.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a lot of history in this beautiful location.
Mm-hmm. And as y'all walked along, you walked through a Crusader gate. And it's one of the things that we know of world history is when the Crusaders came, and they definitely did. You know, I never thought about them building much in the Middle East. I just thought they just came and conquered, but I guess obviously they did a good bit of building as well. I love this picture of y'all.
Yeah, Israel 2023 in the sand.
Yeah,
that's tradition. That's a little bit of Dunnigan tradition there. Mark and I still do that on our travels as well. It's a fun little.
That's cute. That's sweet. More kind of a goodbye picture of y'all on the trip, and somehow we managed not to get a picture of all four of us together, but you know, it was lovely.
Like a screenshot.
Yeah, we can make it work. So, you know, but just an absolutely wonderful trip that we had. And it was, you know, I mean, truly a trip of a lifetime. And
definitely.
Although, you know, one of the men that was on the trip with us had been last year, and this was his second time going on the trip. And I could see how a second time you would, you know, already know a lot and learn even more and experience more.
Yes, it would not be redundant. You would, you do almost need more than one walkthrough to really pick up on everything that's being said. For sure.
Right, absolutely. So,
well, what kind of travel tips do you guys have? Any what kinds of things? Isla, would you want to kick off this section? Because we had probably the opposite approach when it came like, what are we going to wear? Because Luke's wife had sent us this wonderful email about what she packs. That was super handy. But we kind of had our own style of packing. So how did you decide what to bring, Isla?
Well, I shocked Melinda, not Melissa, Melinda. Chandler, Luke's wife, Melinda.
Melanie.
I know too many people whose names don't. Anyway, I shocked her. She said she had never thought of that before. We brought expendable clothing, and we brought an expendable suitcase. We had a suitcase, and we had clothes that we intended to wear once and then to offload, not throw away specifically, but to donate, you know, to share with someone else.
Leave behind, yeah.
To leave behind. So we call them expendable clothing. We bought the suitcase at a thrift store locally here, and we just had all our clothes that we were going to leave. And Melanie was like, "Really? I never thought about it." Other
So
people
what's the
tried to
benefit?
use things twice, and it was nice because we came with that suitcase and our carry-on suitcases, and I think I had a backpack and Wallace had a bag.
Okay.
So, and then we carried that suitcase with us. Actually, I don't think it was the last night. It was almost at the last, probably the next to the last. We were getting ready to leave it, and I had written a note, that here, this is clothes, and please donate them, or something like that. One of the couples needed another suitcase. They had bought so many.
Perfect.
And so we just overheard them talking to Luke saying, "Do you know somewhere we can buy a suitcase?"
Wow.
He said, "Nope, let us give you this suitcase. This is perfect." But it was so perfect for us because then going home, we only had carry-ons. So we could get on and off the plane easily and change planes without having to wait for our luggage and all of that. So that's my big travel tip: is go to the thrift store and buy inexpensive clothes. And if you do it over time, you can find some really nice clothes
Oh
that,
yeah.
you pay $1 or $2 a piece for, and then
Yeah.
just donate them.
All right. All right. So there's one end of the spectrum, and then we have Ashley's approach. Ashley, what was your approach to what to bring to wear for the Israel trip?
Oh man, because I'm so emotional and impacted by my environment and moody that I knew what I was going to wear was going to end up being the outfit that represented that place in my wardrobe for the rest of time.
Yeah.
And I knew I needed to keep it really simple. So I focused on scarves so that I could still wear, and I hope it's not gross, but it's like I would dip these scarves in the water in the places where we went, and then I would wrap them around myself, and I still wear them to church, and I haven't washed them like a baseball jersey. They're like these sentimental, I've got my Jericho scarf, my Temple Mount scarf, my Sea of Galilee scarf. And each day, so like on the day that we went to Golgotha, I wore black and mourning, but I also wore white with rejoicing. At the Sea of Galilee, I did like a linen skirt and a linen blouse to look as like fishermanly as I could. At the Temple Mount, I wore white pants with a red linen top that represented like sacrifice, and a gray shirt that represented like the smoke coming up from sacrifices. Like I thought,
wow,
way too hard.
I'm so impressed.
Everything that I wore. And
cool.
one of the kids there, about the third day, they were like, "I have a question for you. Do you have an outfit picked out for every day based on where we're going?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "I love that. I think that's so," and I would overlap things where it's like if there was a connection between two places, I would wear a piece of clothing in both places.
Oh, that is
yeah,
so cool. You are such an artist. You are just such an artist. That is beautiful. That is so wonderful. What a wonderful way to really, it's like built-in mementos of your trip.
Yeah, this is what I wore. You have to wear a red scarf to Jericho. You have to, but I took water back for watercoloring. Read as much of the Bible as I could just to prepare myself, but also it was helpful to have the Bible on my phone so I could look up the locations and quickly see everywhere in the Bible they were mentioned. It was. I think one thing I would do differently, I ended up packing my carry-on with a lot of like extra shampoo, soap, whatever, just in case my luggage got lost.
Mm-hmm.
But then that was really difficult to take through customs, especially in England. And so if I were to do it again, I would pack an almost empty carry-on. And then if my luggage were to get lost, I would ask Christians, hey, do you have some soap or shampoo or in the hotel, you know?
Right.
And so I thought I had to be more self-sufficient with stuff like that. Then I probably over-prepared in that area.
Yeah.
But and maybe I would bring a scale so that I could weigh all of the different rocks and stuff at the end of each day and not arrive at the airport having no idea if I went over. Like that's that same, because pottery shards can end up being really, really heavy.
Yeah. When you definitely, when you carry in or your checked bag, it's always a good idea to carry. Oh, I'm hearing an echo. It's always a good idea to carry a scale so that you can weigh it again.
Yes.
We usually do that but it was so nice not to have to take a checked bag back with us. I mean, it's a strategy. I mean, it's definitely, big ends of the spectrum for us. Well, Ashley, we lost your mom.
I think maybe she went back to Megiddo.
Maybe that was it. So taken with this. Well, I have to tell you, Ashley, that Wallace and I are going to Egypt with Luke and Melanie in late January. And then we're also going on the next tour that they do to, like the one they've just been on
sailing the Mediterranean.
Yes, I'm so excited about that. So we are, I think that will be our trifecta,
I think that's perfect.
Bible.
That sailing tour looks a lot more relaxing than the Bible Lands tour.
Right. I think it's going to be great. So
I'm excited for you.
Oh, thank you. We're really thrilled. So I think it's going to be fun. Well, that's pretty much what I've got on this trip. And I think all of us can say we can really highly recommend it. And especially, I thought Luke made a really good point. He said a lot of times Christians or preachers will wait until they're retired, till they're really old and make this trip and then see all the things that they could have, had they known, they could have used in their lessons, in their writings and, in their teachings. He said, if you know somebody young, encourage them to come.
Definitely.
I just thought that was so good because you've got now your experience and you've got so many more years ahead of you, and with teaching your own children and so forth, that, you've had that experience. I just think that's marvelous.
Yeah. Even some Sundays when we study, at the end of study, I'll text the women at my church are all kind of on a group chat, and I'll text them a picture. If we're going through Acts, I'll say, by the way, we were studying this today, and here's a picture from where we were, just to kind of enrich the experience. But I think one of the things my mom found most helpful was having Ziploc bags and Sharpies, so that as she was collecting her little treasures, she could put them in a bag right where it was from and the date that it was found. And I know we also really enjoyed a collection of essential oils that were from the Bible. So it's frankincense, myrrh, hyssop, sandalwood. And we enjoyed kind of coordinating the essential oils with each day based on where we were going. Right. So and I had music. I had a playlist for different places, and it was
such an artist, I'm telling you.
I told Luke Chandler, I said, I'm showing up to this like a Taylor Swift concert. Like, I am head to toe full fan. Like, I am here for the Bible Land tour, like every day. And he thought that was really, really funny.
Yeah, it is great.
Enthusiasm.
Well, it was a joy watching you and your mom on the tour. This has been such a joy to me to go through the pictures with you all, with you both. It has just been fabulous. Oh, I think she's going to make it back. Let's see if she does.
Oh, she came back from Megiddo.
Yay. But it has been So much fun. Oh, there she is. Good. So we were just talking about how Ashley coordinated her outfits for each day. And I said, well, we couldn't be more separate, I'm sure, so. But you know what I the other thing that I learned about was bar soap and bar shampoo. And you don't have to worry about going through customs with it. I mean, it's not a liquid or a gel. And that was, I took that. It was nice when you didn't have it in the hotel. And the other thing, if you're a person who uses and likes to use washcloths, always take washcloths with you outside of the United States. I think Canada uses them, but once you get over into Europe and the Middle East and so forth, they do not use washcloths. So, be prepared. That's one of our big things because it's so hard. But we were just talking about what a wonderful trip it was and what a great experience. And I'm just so glad that Ashley was able to go with you, and that now she'll have this experience for working with kids, teaching young people and her own children, and work in the kingdom with all of that as just a background, a backdrop for you. And I know you'll do wonderful things with that information. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We could probably do a whole program just on travel tips, but because there is a lot that you can do to just make it even more meaningful, and so we leaned heavily on photography, so that we would have that with us. Sometimes I would even record. I'd push record on my phone to when Zach would be talking, and so I could have a little bit of his voice. If he was telling a really interesting story, I would have that in my phone. Ashley, we had thought about like a music playlist that maybe we would listen to certain special songs that would be related to the locations that we were visiting. And so we had no time for that. I can't believe that we thought that we'd have time to record programs, the three of us, during this. Yeah. There was no time. There was no time.
Wallace says to me, he says, you should have recorded some programs. And I said, when? I mean, if we had gone there not to look at anything, but only to record programs, yes. But no, there was no time.
Yeah.
I think we would have died. Like, I think those would have been some of the most exhausted programs your readers would have ever been like, I don't know where we went today. How are you feeling? I'm tired. Let's go to bed. Like, we were wiped out.
It would have been bad.
We
really
were
bad.
Wide open all day long. I mean, just go, and then eat supper and kind of eased off, and then zoom down to bed. That was it.
Well, speaking of sleep, though, Ashley, you had a tip on riding on the airplane. You had brought stuff to kind of like where you could kind of settle in a little bit.
I had a pillow that you could tuck your hands into and place in front of you and put your head in. I had done a lot of research on getting as much sleep on the plane as possible. And the only times that I was able to use music was on the plane, which was very helpful. And then on the Sea of Galilee, I brought my headphones and my music, and we had some quiet time there. And so I listened to music on the Sea of Galilee, which was really special. But yeah, I had mentioned the Ziploc bags and the Sharpies for keeping everything organized at the end of every day, because it can pile up quick if you're not organizing. I think we would go through our photos every day and delete what we call the blinks and the blurries, the stuff we didn't need, so it didn't pile up.
Yes, and I edit all my photos. So that would be while I'm listening to Zach, I would be editing my photos and try to keep up on that so I wouldn't have to do that later. Right. So that was handy. Having like a water bottle, almost like a purse that you can put your water bottle in, that was very handy. That would have, your passport, your ID, your water bottle. You could put your, just something like that. Did you guys see some people had stools too, like little portable stools, so that if they were going to be stopping and talking, they could just kind of whip out this little stool that was super lightweight, and so they could sit on that from time to time. And I think for some travelers, that was really a lifesaver. You know, it is an athletic thing. I think, Ashley, you may have said a couple programs ago that walk 5 miles every day before you take this trip for months ahead of time, because you're really going to need the stamina.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
It helps.
I also found for the heat, I didn't wear my hat. I didn't find having that on my head to be comfortable in the heat, but I found that the scarves that I brought, every time I was either in a bathroom where there was water or a fresh source of water, I would saturate the scarf, drape it around myself.
Mhm.
And it didn't detract from the outfit that I had so meticulously planned for months, but it kept me cool at the same time, because I was in a Bible movie, you know, I was there.
It was great.
It was amazing.
Well, I guess.
All right. Any other travel tips before we?
Yeah. Okay. That's all I got.
I think I'm
Me too.
good. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much for going with us on this journey. Our viewers, we just appreciate you listening and watching the videos that we presented. You can tell what a wonderful time we had on the trip and how much spiritual growth that we experienced and felt. Just the love of God and of, you know, the history of his people and all the good that his story, you know, that he presented in this one area, in this small area. And it was, I mean, it's just all so moving for us, and we appreciate all of you being with us. Cindy, any closing remarks for us?
It was just worth it. It was worth it. It's a financial investment. And we probably couldn't have done it any earlier in our life because of that. But if you do, towards the end of your life, have some dispensable income, I cannot think of a better way to spend it if you're somebody who really loves the Bible and really understands the value of all these beautiful stories. And it's just, we tried to put it into words. We tried to explain how it transforms you, but, and we're never going to say that you have to do this, obviously, to have a full Christian experience, but it was more than what we could put into words, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think by
the
second day, you and I looked at each other and we were just like, I can't believe that this only costs what it costs by the second day. And we still have 7 more days ahead of us. And it was just like, the value that Luke specifically puts into his tours is you won't regret it. But bring medicine. And if you go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, you might pick something up, you know, that's going around the world. So bring some Dayquil and mask. Because there's some germs at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
Must have been.
Yeah.
Okay.
True that. You don't want to bring that home. You don't want to bring that souvenir home.
No, that was unbelievable. That was,
Well, as you can see, we all hate to say goodnight, but we're going to have to. So, okay.
All right.
Well, all right. See you all later.
See you later. God bless.
God bless.